Well, the continuum is basically like we think of authenticity as this sort of binary thing. Like I'm either honest or I'm not, or I'm either it's more on a continuum. On one side of the continuum is phony, sort of halfway down is honest, and on the far side where we ultimately want to get to is authentic. So it's about noticing where am I in any given moment on that continuum, or where is the team, and can we move in a more authentic direction? The equation, I sort of alluded to it before, but it's, honesty minus self-righteousness plus vulnerability. That's authenticity. And so, yes, it does take a certain amount of courage to be honest, but it takes a lot of self-awareness to remove that self-righteousness. And it takes an even deeper level of courage to be vulnerable. And so those things are important for leaders to understand and for teams to understand, that authenticity is not this binary thing. It's also not a destination or like you don't get a badge that says, I'm an authentic leader, I'm an authentic person. It's a practice.
Don't? I kind of want one of those.
I know. I'd love a t-shirt that like I'm done, but it's an in the moment experience. A mentor of mine likes to always say to me, Mike, the truth can't be rehearsed. So it's really about a way of being, and it's sort of, it's an in the moment phenomenon. So as leaders, can we practice being more authentic more often? And as a team, can we create that as a cultural norm? That's how we operate. That doesn't mean every single moment of every single day we're being 100% authentic. It means we're actually aware of, sometimes even when we're being inauthentic, just like communication, right? How do you get to be a better listener? You notice when you're not listening. Then you can start listening more, right? How do we become more mindful? Oh, notice when I'm not being mindful. And then that brings me back to the present moment. How do I be more authentic? Oh, actually notice when I'm not being, or when I'm afraid to be, and then see if I can challenge myself consciously to be even more authentic.
Yeah. So, gosh, we could talk about authenticity and vulnerability for the entire show. We may come back to it in a minute, but I don't want to move completely off from your book yet. So you mentioned one pillar was psychological safety. What's another pillar?
Another pillar that's really important related to this and to a lot of your work is embrace what I call sweaty palm conversations. Mm-hmm. This comes from a mentor of mine years ago said to me, Mike, you know what stands between you and the kind of relationships you really want to have with people? I said, what's that? He said, it's probably a 10-minute sweaty palm conversation you're too afraid to have. He said, if you get really good at those 10-minute sweaty palm conversations, you'll have fantastic relationships. You'll build trust, you'll resolve conflict, you'll get to know people who are different than you. You'll talk about the elephant in the room. He said, but if you do like most of us and you avoid those conversations because they can be uncomfortable or awkward or messy, or sometimes they make things worse before they get better. He said, then you end up being a victim of who you work with and who you live with. He said, but if you lean into the discomfort and have those conversations sooner rather than later, you'll build incredibly strong relationships. Now, look, he was right. And that's still not that easy for me personally, and just about every other human that I know and have worked with. So it's a practice, but the more we create that as a cultural norm, we embrace sweaty palm conversations as a team, we engage in things sooner rather than later, that actually makes it a little bit easier for us to do that. And it's so fundamentally important, especially in today's world.